All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to peel back the curtain on the hidden world of cybersecurity flaws, from how they're born to how we can actually defend against them.
So let's start with a pretty intense question. Because in cybersecurity, and this is so important to grasp, the tiniest, most seemingly insignificant mistake can have absolutely massive, even company-ending consequences.
And that brings us to maybe the most dangerous type of flaw out there, the zero-day vulnerability. You can think of it as a secret backdoor that literally no one knows about, except maybe the people trying to get in. The developers have had 0 days to even start working on a fix.
So where do these things even come from? Well, they have a kind of secret life cycle. Let's walk through it.
It all starts so innocently, right? A developer, probably under a tight deadline, just unintentionally introduces a bug into the code. But then someone, an attacker or a security researcher, finds that flaw before the people who made the software even know it exists. That's when things get really dangerous. The flaw gets weaponized, an exploit is built, and this opens up what we call the zero-day window. It's this critical period where attackers can strike, and there's no official defense. It's only after all this that the vendor finds out and starts scrambling to create a patch.
So who's on the other side of this? Let's talk about the good guys for a minute, the digital detectives who hunt these flaws for good. You might know them as ethical hackers or bug bounty hunters.
You know, the whole game has completely changed. It's not just about running a bunch of automated scanners anymore and hoping for the best. That low-effort stuff just doesn't work. Real success comes from deep, strategic thinking, really understanding the target, and just plain old persistence.
A successful hunt isn't random. It follows a really clear path. First, you do reconnaissance, mapping out everything, every subdomain, every API. Then you start probing, seeing what's actually alive. From there, you analyze the tech they're using, and then you bring in the specialized tools. But look at that final step, manual testing. This is the secret sauce. This is where human creativity finds the critical logic flaws that all those automated scanners will just completely miss.
And I love this quote from the NatLast blog because it just hits the nail on the head. So many beginners fail because they're just copying and pasting commands they saw on YouTube without any clue what they actually do. True expertise, the kind that finds the really critical bugs, comes from understanding why an attack works, not just how to copy it.
Okay, so once a flaw is found, what happens next? How do attackers turn that tiny little crack in the armor into a master key that can unlock the entire system? Well, for many attackers, the ultimate prize, the end goal, is something called Arbitrary Code Execution, or ACE for short. The name sounds technical, but the idea is simple. It's about tricking a system into running your code, giving you control. Now, you've probably heard another acronym thrown around, RCE, or Remote Code Execution. So what's the difference? Well, it's pretty straightforward. RCE is just a type of ACE, but it's the most dangerous kind because it happens over a network, like the internet. The attacker needs zero physical access, which makes it an absolute nightmare for any public-facing server. So how do they actually pull this off? Well, security pros and attackers alike have some incredibly powerful tools, and probably the most famous one out there is the Metasploit framework. Think of Metasploit as this all-in-one spy kit. It has a few core parts. You've got your exploits, that's the code that picks the lock on a specific door. But once you're in, you need to do something, right? That's where payloads come in. That's the code that runs after you're inside, telling the system what you want it to do, like steal passwords or install a keylogger. And if you want to see just how sophisticated these payloads can get, look no further than MeterPreter. This thing is, wow. It's incredibly stealthy because it lives entirely in the computer's memory, which means it leaves almost no trace on the hard drive for forensic tools to find. It can do everything from dumping passwords to snapping pictures with the webcam. Okay, so we've seen these incredibly powerful offensive tools. It's a little scary, right? So how on earth do we build a fortress to defend against all this? And here's the thing. There's no one magic bullet solution. A strong defense is all about layers. It's a strategy. It starts with proactive things like patching everything immediately, but it goes way deeper. It's about adopting a zero-trust mindset. Basically, never trust, always verify. You combine that with smart network design and making sure nobody has more permissions than they absolutely need. So, all of this brings us to a really crucial point. Cybersecurity isn't something you just solve. It's not a problem with a final answer. It's a continuous balancing act. And that really gets to the core of it all. Security is this never-ending cat and mouse game. For every high wall the defenders build, the attackers are already working on a new ladder. It is a constant process of adaptation, not a finish line you can cross. Which leaves us with a final thought, right? Security isn't a product you can just buy off a shelf. It's a process, something you have to live and breathe every single day. So the real question isn't if the game is being played, but how are you going to choose to play it?